So I'm James Shillcock and I'm the founder of Vivid Drinks. Vivid is a range of matcha green tea drinks. So Vivid launched in August of last year. We launched with Whole Foods, Planet Organic as nature intended, and since then we've come on so far. It's been less than 9 months, and in that time we've gone into Harvey Nichols, we've gone into Selfridges, we've gone into loads of really premium independent gyms. We're in about 300 independent stores in and around London now. I think my entrepreneurial flair began at uni. While I was there, I realised that I enjoyed, or I was most productive working on my own thing. I had loads of ideas, but I never actually managed to get any of them started because I was too busy partying and studying at the same time. But then just after uni, as soon as I left, I knew that I wanted to go and work for a startup. So I went and worked for a startup and learnt a lot about starting businesses, and had a couple of ideas of my own, one of which fell flat on its face. But then fortunately Vivid was the next thing to come along. So before I started Vivid, I was working for an independent tea company in London. We had a tea shop right next to St Paul's Cathedral, where from that tea shop we were sourcing teas from all over the world. There were specialty loose leaf teas, and what we were trying to do there was bring the world of specialty tea back into the mainstream and kind of try and compete against the American coffee shop chains that were taken over in the UK really. And I loved that job because it taught me so much about tea, but it also taught me a lot about a startup business. The best piece of business advice that I was ever given was probably that speed is better than perfection. That's something that we're really kind of working to at the moment. The fact of the matter is you can spend so much time when you're starting up trying to perfect everything, and the reality is that there's no such thing as perfection, and at its best it's subjective. I know that in the early stages I spent hours worrying about the tiny little things, and at the end of the day you've just got to get out there, make things happen, and then as soon as you've got a product out in the market you can test it and you can get feedback, and then you can adapt as you're going. I'd love to spend some time with someone like Angela Arendt's, who was at Burberry. She revolutionised not just the fashion industry but also technology in a lot of ways as well. Also someone like Luke Johnson, he's the guy who is behind the success of Pizza Express, Giraffe, Patisserie Valerie. He's what you really would call a serial entrepreneur, and he's the kind of person that has proven that actually there is a formula. I believe that anybody can learn to be an entrepreneur. It's much more a case of having the right attitude, being open-minded, talking to as many people as you possibly can, and learning all of the time. And my one piece of advice to anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur is go and get experience with a startup, ideally in the industry that you want to go into, because you will build a network, you'll learn a lot about the industry, you'll learn what to do, just importantly you'll learn what not to do, and it will give you the confidence that you can go and do this as well. Vivid is an innovative company for a number of reasons. I think the first and most important really is product. We use a really special premium type of green tea from Japan called Matcha. Now Matcha goes through a special process. It's covered about 2 weeks before it's harvested. The leaves are picked, they're deveined, destemmed and ground into a really fine powder. So when you mix this powder into water or to drinks or juices, you're effectively consuming the green tea leaf itself. Now until Vivid came along, you can only buy matcha in powder format. If you go into a health store, it's £25 for the pot, so it's very, very expensive. And we are the first company to take this powder, blend it up and put it into a bottle, so that anybody can pick it up conveniently and it tastes great. Vivid ethos is all about being bright and lively and full of life and having a clear head. The vast majority of health brands out there and food and drink products out there all talk about physical fitness, but they all ignore the importance of the mind and having a clear, sharp, focused mind, and that's something that Vivid as a brand we really promote. We financed the startup initially through some seed funding from friends and family. So that got us to a prototype stage, which effectively meant we had mock-ups of the packaging, and that was enough that I could then take that into some retailers and get feedback. Once we had really positive feedback from some retailers, we then went out and raised a large amount of cash from high net worth individuals. Real breakthrough moments, there's too many to choose just one. I think one of the big ones was getting the trademark. You know, we've got an amazing name, and Vivid for me was always a natural name for this brand and product. You know, Matcha is all about clarity, it's about life and vitality, and Vivid fits, but because it's such a popular word, we knew there was going to be trouble getting the trademark, but thankfully we got it. When you put your trademark up to be published, it gets put up for 2 months and anyone can challenge in that 2-month period. Got to the last day and we thought we were through, and then of course an objection came in, and it came through from a huge alcohol company. I had no option but to call up the company and plead with their law firm, and I managed to get hold of one of their lawyers on a Friday afternoon before bank holiday weekend, so I think I caught her in a good mood, and she said, okay, I'll propose your case to the directors and I'll get back to you. And on the Tuesday morning she called me up and she said, yeah, based on these terms, we're happy to accept. So that was a massive moment at the time. Our business model is pretty simple, really. We blend and package matcha green tea drinks. We sell them to distributors and retailers, and they sell them on to their customers. So we take a cut from the products that we sell into retail stores. We got our product into retailers by knocking on a lot of doors and finding the right person, so the buyer of each particular store, and getting in there and really pitching to them why they need Vivid matcha drinks on their shelves. I think for anybody who's trying to place their products with retailers, the key things to consider are product always comes number one. You know, that's a given. If your product is not great, then forget about it. Beyond that, what you have to be really clear about is why your product is going to sell more in this particular store than another product, and why that store needs to bring your product in for its customers. Branding and packaging of Vivid started with a company called Brand Opus, who are an incredible branding agency. Sat down with the founder near there and kind of went in and sort of said to him, you know, can you help me? And he looked at me over the table and said, you can't afford us. I was like, that's great, thanks. And then we carried on talking, and a couple of minutes later he sort of said, look, every now and again we take on a charity case, which again, very nice of him. And they took us on. We worked very closely together to decide how we wanted to portray Vivid and a brand, and how we would work to get it standing out on shelves. And I think what we've come up with is something that's really stand out and distinctive and very different. When I took the different options that we had out to consumers, the feedback always ended up coming down to this middle of the road kind of packaging, which I always felt would have been a massive mistake, and we decided not to go with it, and we went with something that most people didn't go for, because I think as a young brand, as a challenger brand, you have to do something bold and different. We've already got a few celebrity fans, so I met the England rugby captain Chris Robshaw the other week, and he's a fan. I met Dame Kelly Holmes, she also likes the product. We had a great mention from Tiny Temper yesterday, saying that he has thrown the product into his bag of essentials when he's on tour. You know, we are a young startup, we've only been going 9 months, but what we've achieved in that time is phenomenal. We're just really focused on building a brand in London, and then we'll go out to other cities across the UK, and then who knows beyond that. I mean, we're already having calls all the time from all over the world actually, for people asking us to distribute our product, but we're saying no. Because we are really focused on building the brand here first, proving we can do it here first, and then taking it elsewhere.